Welcome back to the Talking Point, ladies and gentlemen, where we bring you guys into the studio. Of course, joining me today is Michael McCubbin. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Not too bad at all.
Good to hear. Joe laughing in the corner there. How you doing?
Yeah, I won't be laughing in about 4 minutes once we get onto the debate topic today, will I?
Indeed. And of course, our guest today is none other than YouTube royalty, a good friend of ours, Harry Pinero. How you doing, buddy?
What? YouTube royalty? I don't know who you've been speaking to.
Yeah, neither do I. How's he got that moniker?
Hey, he's been absolutely smashing it recently, but this is the Talking Point, the show where we're going to be debating all the biggest topics, and one of the biggest of this season, just before the World Cup has launched, he's made it about himself, Cristiano Ronaldo, who has had an interview with Piers Morgan. It's yet to go live, but clips have been put out by Piers Morgan's social media, and they are intriguing, Joe, just to say the least. What were your initial reactions when you first saw it?
Unsurprised, because I think at this stage Cristiano will do pretty much anything to engineer a move out of Manchester United, so I'm not particularly surprised that he's gone to these lengths. He's tried plenty of other things to get out of the club so far, hasn't he, that have all seemingly failed, but also a little bit disappointed of how he has willingly jeopardised his Manchester United legacy to engineer a move to a club that I think is likely to be a step backwards from Manchester United. I don't see another major European player coming in for him at this stage of his career. So both disappointed but unsurprised.
HP, I mean, for you, a United fan, works for the club as well. How did you feel when you saw this? I mean, Piers Morgan also came out and said, apparently Cristiano asked me to do it. It's as simple as that. I did not ask him to do the interview. He asked me. What were your thoughts when you first saw some of the clips?
As a fan, I just felt let down, like completely let down, because I think the respect that every single Manchester United fan has for Ronaldo, I don't think it's been showed with the way he's treated the club. You can have your personal issues with the club, but never should you bring it out to the media, let alone the timing just before the World Cup. We're doing really well right now, and I think that's even the reason probably why he feels a certain way, is because we're doing well without him. And although he is one of the greatest players to ever play the game, the way his legacy is getting taken at Man United will obviously be based on this. It's shocking. It's like I said, it's a disrespect to any player that's actually currently playing, the staff, and some of the stuff that we've seen in terms of him speaking about backroom staff and chefs and stuff. It's like kind of like a personal vendetta.
Yeah.
And for me, I just don't feel like that's the type of player, regardless how big he is and how much of an amazing player he is, that we need to have on our books anymore. I
mean, McCubbin, some of the comments specifically were quite weird. There was ones aimed at Gary Neville, some aimed at Rooney, little pop shots out there. It did feel very personal, didn't it?
Yeah, I think like these sort of saying, it's strange that he is so willing to completely ruin his legacy, and I think it will inevitably. Well, I think so. I can't think of a Man United player who's behaved in this way over the last 2 months. And to be honest, I think when he walked out at Spurs, I think that was the end, to be honest. I think this interview is just, that this is just an extra bit. But when he walked out before the end of the game against Spurs, again in a game which probably arguably United's best performance of the season, I think he just said a lot about his character since he's been back at the club. I think he's always wanted it to be all about him. I think I always kind of thought it was a bit of a mistake signing him in the first place.
Yeah.
Maybe for those kind of reasons, but I'm still surprised that he went to those lengths. Like, I think Ronaldo's always been a very ego-driven, very, individualistic kind of player, and all his career choices have been towards that. This isn't the first time that he's tried to get out of a club, is it? Like, he's basically forced to move out of every club he's been at in his career. But I don't think he's ever gone to these lengths, and I kind of thought that he would have had more pride than to do this. It is weird because, I do think it somewhat ruins his legacy.
I think we'll touch upon. I do want to touch upon that a bit later. But one of the things that he mentions a lot in his interview, Harry, is respect. He says that he doesn't feel like he's had respect from the board, from Manchester United, and because of that, he's not giving respect back to the club. Hence the interview. Do you think there has been no respect from the club, from Erik ten Hag? He mentions Erik ten Hag. It feels like ten Hag has, by making him captain in certain games as well. How do you feel about those comments about respect?
I think again, it's the ego. I think it is. I think when you're a player of that caliber, and you've been demanding respect all your life. You've been getting it all your life as well. And I think the level and the age that he's at right now isn't reminiscent of how he was when he first came to Man United. And I think maybe he's finding it very hard to adjust to that reality. And of course, he wasn't signed by Ten Hag. That was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer or Ralph Rangnick signing. I can't remember who signed him first.
Ole.
Yeah, it was Ole. So that's Ole signing. And Ten Hag has a way in which he wants to play and the players that he wants to play. And I think, as any player should know, like, that you have to fall according to the level that you're at right now. We've seen it with the likes of John Terry. John Terry was told he can't play no more, but was still in the dressing room and didn't come out and make no statement. And I think the professional nature of him has just been eradicated with these actions. And for me, it's just like, respect comes both ways.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It comes both ways, and you just can't just throw your toys out the pram because, you haven't felt, someone hasn't shown you respect. And like some of the boys mentioned now, I mean, he walked away for the Spurs game, Real Sociedad game, he left at half-time, and it's like, this has been before the season has even started. So where is the respect not being shown if you're not giving it? And for me, it's just like, we've got young players who are probably going to look up to Ronaldo, like the likes of Garnacho and Anthony, and calling him their idol. And if this is the way that an idol is showing himself, I mean, it's just bad for me, and it's just out of character. I didn't think Ronaldo would do that at United, no chance. So the respect for me, I think you've got to give it to get it to receive it. Do you know what I mean? For
sure. I mean, he'd also mentioned, Joe, which I think, if there's one thing you could take from his comments, this I think is where other United fans will probably agree more so, is about the facilities. Carrington, he mentioned when he went there, Joe, that he was shocked that it hadn't changed since he was 2021. Is that something that you kind of feel you agree with, or do you disagree with? How do you think
I think a lot of what he has said is true. It is truthful. I think there's plenty of stuff within the quotes that have come out so far, anyway, before we see the full interview, that Manchester United fans would get on board with.
Yeah.
I think the issue United fans have is the reason for now revealing these quotes is obviously that he wants to leave. He wasn't saying this stuff, was he, last year when he was scoring 25 goals and having big impacts in games and not wanting to leave. Now he wants to leave. He's using this stuff almost as pawns on a chessboard to be able to engineer himself a move, and each different pawn he moves, most Manchester United fans would agree with 90% of them. I think where he has basically scuppered himself is by going after the king, which is Erik ten Hag, and that has really kind of shrouded and clouded the rest of the comments he's made.
If it was still Ralph, do you think people would be more keen with Ronaldo's comments?
I think there would be less of an issue because Ralph Rangnick was an interim manager, first and foremost. What's very clear now is that Manchester United fans are behind Erik ten Hag almost unanimously. 99% of Man United fans would be backing Erik ten Hag in this situation. So I have no problem with probably 90% of what Cristiano has said in these interviews. It's the 10% that he has said that are an issue, and it's the reason that he said the whole thing, which is the bigger problem.
Yeah, I mean, him essentially wanting to get that move out.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the future for Ronaldo, for Manchester United. Harry, what do you think from a United standpoint needs to happen here?
I think, as Joe touched on, like, we have a manager called Erik ten Hag, and I think from where we've been over the last 3 years, for me personally as a fan, it's been the best in terms of what I can see happening at Man United. And if you check the stats, we have won more games without Ronaldo. And I think Ten Hag probably can see that as well. And it's about building. I think for us, the best thing to do is, by the time the World Cup is done, that Ronaldo is no longer there, because I don't think you can come back from something like this. I think when you've gone on a public a platform like Piers Morgan's social media to actually vent how you feel, it's just going to cause some issues. So I think the best thing for us right now is for Ronaldo to leave. Now, this is someone who is one of my favourite, if not my favourite player of all time. So it's hard as a fan.
He's got the shirt up, look. He's got the shirt up, fanboy.
Honestly, and what I had to do to get that shirt almost risked my career. So my point is, it's a sad situation, but I think fans, if you spoke to fans throughout the whole season, they've been saying, like, maybe it's time for Ronaldo to leave because it's just not working out the way we thought it would be. So for me, think for the future now, man, because, clearly it's over.
I mean, McCubs, I think where Ronaldo goes, I think it is too up in the air right now, and we won't really know enough until January, to be honest. And what happens legally as well, because Manchester United are supposedly going to be looking into what can happen there and when they don't have to pay the rest of his wage and so on and so forth. But again, from a United standpoint, how do you think it should be happening now come January? Are you guys looking to take the first bid that happens straight away, even if you are making a loss? Because I think is still...
What bid?
Very true.
Yeah, there's
not going to be a bid.
Yeah, this is the...
Or do you pay the 12 million, pay the 12 million of his
terminate
contract
his
now,
contract and let him go,
and get him gone.
Free agent. Yeah, I mean, this is the problem. I think in some ways it might be in some ways it's easier for United because they have a great example just last year of Arsenal paying to get rid of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, someone who had become a bit of a liability to Mikel Arteta, but hadn't gone to anywhere near the lengths that Ronaldo has gone to. I mean, what Aubameyang did is nothing compared to what Ronaldo's done, really. I think United just need to do that. I think United need to do whatever they can to get rid of Ronaldo, and if that means paying off Ronaldo's wages for the rest of the season, then so be it. Because I think there's an opportunity now in the second half of the season. There's a bit of a momentum in the side now. There is a genuine chance at top four, and even thinking at it from a financial perspective, if Ronaldo was to stay and if his influence within the dressing room or whatever, if he was to do anything that could jeopardise that. That's potentially catastrophic for the next transfer window in terms of Erik ten Hag's plans for the future. I know he's not necessarily expected to get Champions League football in his first season, but if he can do that, would be amazing. And so I think the club needs to look at it like that. I think and yes, they would have to pay an awful lot to get Ronaldo off the books because he is on those ridiculous wages, over £500,000 a week, reportedly. I think by any means necessary for sure. I know. Yeah, the club would ideally not want to have to do that, but I think Ronaldo will obviously. I'd be surprised if they were able to get him out without paying off those wages.
I mean, £500,000 a week, and you're doing that kind of interview, Joe. The big one now, we mentioned it earlier, has he ruined his Manchester United legacy?
I think he's dented it in the short term. I don't think he's ruined it, no. I think that...
Really?
No, I don't think he's ruined it. I honestly don't. I think that Manchester United fans in 30, 40 years' time will look back on Ronaldo still as one of the greats of the club. I think that although his exit has been fairly catastrophic, we've seen catastrophic exits and poorly executed exits in the past with, Roy Keane, shipped off to Celtic, still comfortably at Manchester United.
But Roy Keane didn't do...
Look at George Best's exit from the club back in the heyday. Look at even players, you go to Jaap Stam, who was effectively tossed to one side by Sir Alex Ferguson, incorrectly, as he later admitted. David Beckham thrown out as well. Ruud van Nistelrooy was effectively sacked, if we're being serious. Ruud van Nistelrooy was effectively sacked before he left. I think in the short term, it will definitely dent his legacy. There's absolutely no doubt about that. In 20 or so years' time, I think this will be but a blotch on a fantastic career.
I think what you're saying is true. I think short term, yes. I think a lot of people are very angry. If you look at the comments on social media, literally, I haven't seen one comment where someone's actually agreeing with what Ronaldo's done. I don't think it's something that right now we're going to think, okay, cool, he's done and so on and so forth. What Ronaldo has done for Manchester United is nothing short of remarkable, and I think that won't ever be forgotten. I think from that reason, I think that's why the outrage is so massive, because of how much we loved Ronaldo and how much we wanted him to come back and so on and so forth. But definitely there's a massive dent, and I don't think it will go away. I think it'll be one of those ones where you speak about Ronaldo, but then you'll say in the same breath, why did he have to go and do that in the interview? Do you know what I'm saying? So it's tough, but it's just a sad state of affairs. Because
I just think this stuff gets forgotten quickly, man. I remember Wayne Rooney demanding to leave Manchester United in a public statement. Yeah, for sure, he stayed. But
even then, to be fair, I think even with Rooney though, if you spoke to a lot of United fans, especially Old Trafford, home and away fans, I think there was a lot. Even years after that Rooney thing, and a lot, there were a lot of testimonies from people saying, Rooney, an all-time great of the club, but he did that thing still has kind of sullied his reputation, and that's a player who spent, was basically a one-club man for United, stayed until the bitter end, gave his all until the bitter end.
Which is why I think
to an extent, but at the same time, Ronaldo is someone who tried to force a move out of the club. This is the third or fourth time he's tried to do it over the course of his career. I think it's slightly different in that Ronaldo is, ultimately Ronaldo is a Real Madrid legend first and foremost. He's a Man United legend second. And I think fans will always look back at, the 2005 to 2009 period, obviously loving what he did then, obviously did amazing things, but this 2-year period has been like pretty difficult for the most part. Even when he was scoring, like there was still a feeling underneath that it wasn't. It was kind of doomed to fail, wasn't it? And this, I think, has just been, you know.
So you think ruined? You think ruined?
I don't necessarily ruined, but I think it has significantly damaged his legacy. Like I think there will be a fair amount of United fans who will find it really difficult to forgive him for this.
And where do you find yourself in that edge there, Harry? Kind of more with Joe, so it's more of a dent, or more like Mikey, where it's completely damaged?
Do you know, I'm going to be on the fence because Mikey's point is very real. I mean, it's like there's some United fans who are, you know, very, very embedded in the club. It's been part of them since they were bit. It's part of their family. And I don't think I've ever seen a player who has openly criticised United like this. This is a club that we all love, fans anyway. So for him to go and do that and put a stain on the club when we're not really in the best position right now, we're not title challengers, we're not winning trophies, we're no longer the most feared club in England anymore. And I think he's just confirmed things that we all knew about Man United, but we just didn't need to hear from a player like him. So I think it's definitely been, it's like someone who's done an inside job. Yeah, it's something like that. So definitely, I agree. I think it's going to be a stain on his legacy, and it's not the same legacy that he came into the club with 2 years ago.
Well, there we have it. The United boys have discussed the Ronaldo situation. I'd love to know your thoughts as well in the comments below. If you want to check out Harry's channels, they'll be in the description. Harry, thank you so much for coming on. Amazing. If you're not already, like the video and subscribe to Football Daily. We'll see you later. Bye.